The evening bell, tolling, 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 ends the weary westward wayfaring sun. The evening mists, the cautious chill of wind, and many, many memories of him. Adjust the broken lace, adjust the gown, address yourself to moving further on, and without purpose walk into the setting sun. Dissolving in the shower, beneath the trees, bowing at the gateway, silent, proud, the evening air, confusion spreading wide, the mists descending, cold and clammy clothes, the innocence that wavered and has passed, disruption of the meaning and the word. And all has come together, gathered here, and clamours at the gateway and retracts, confounds the issue, disqualifies the sense. The visible world, enhancing and enhanced, tall ships and breezes of the shore. No thought but will in action find its deed, for what we think is truly what we are, is truly what we are, and what will be is what we once imagined that we were. The world fulfills its substance in the mind, dictates its vapid cause and its effect, and slowly builds its Babel tower up, and caps the tottering structure with a thought. From high and lonely watches voices call, and spread below their echoes on the hills, and wander as a stream that steeps the plain, reverberates the scrub and thorny rock. The ending and the milestone and the way, the traffic signs and signals and the post, the pointing arm, the distant hazy hills, infinitudes of wanderings and waste, of islands in the sea and mountain heights, predestined goals, meanderings in the swamp. The perfect way no signpost has, nor stone, no human finger pointing at the hills, but like an arrow whirring through the air, an arrow that requires no bow, no string. It finds its steady course and arrows on, and steady arrows on, and strikes the mark. The little boats are turning on the tide. Their vainly flapping sails disturb the wind, which quickens in its fury, drives them on, wrecks them, wreaks its passion on the shore, and racks them on the tidal edge of night. And all their pride impure it washes out, and cancels in the deep the sighted land, the vainly laboured goal they sought to seek. all human thought and will is doomed and damned and yielded to the sea-god in his wrath, and loosened on the phases of the moon, and scattered on the tidal shifting sands. Let go the rudder, let her have her way, for she possesses more than you can hold, encompasses her jealous substance round, and rules you with an angry rod and force. But should you offer up the helm to her, she'll bring you safely in and home to port, and every harbour light shall gleam for you, and welcome hands stretch out and pull you in, and softly lay you down, and stroke your brow, surround you with their comfort and their love. In this palace, at the height of summer, cool marble of the flesh and of the floor, incessant voices twist and turn in air, or heap upon the noontide and the night, or slither stirring in the silent weeded pools. The people of the palace turn and stare, and move their sightless eyes upon the scene, but cannot find the substance of the voice, or intimate the word which they have heard. The voices of the birds and of the beasts have beat upon the gate, have swayed the trees, have wandered aimless on the margin of the pool, but never entered in the circled square, where men and maidens, lighted by the moon, have wandered in and out the mazy paths, but never found the central place that is the axis of the turning suns, the moving pole which runs from star to star. The royal chariot glitters in the sun. The foolish feast their eyes upon its wealth, but men of wisdom, quietly passing by, are gazing on the chariot in their hearts, and gazing on the splendid charioteer, who, though not an earthly king possessed of gold, has more of wealth than any king on earth. Above the tumult of the palanquin, removed far off from arrows and from war, abstracted from the battlefield of war, beyond the court of kings, bejewelled men, and far into the ether and the air, the little car on wings of spirit form, unbodied in a body pure as dawn, partaking of the clarity of dawn, in silent tumult, in concentered thought, wrapped about in rays of sun and dew, and steaming up as dew itself will steam, concerted dew that rises to a head, and fanning out above in rainbow forms the pliant platform whence the journey starts. The rainbow's back are bended, arching low. The car has taken place, and then is fired in ecstasy is fired, and wings its swiftest way towards the sun. This meditation answered in your praise, this study of the bridge and of the way where waving trees for centuries have stood, where rainbow-coloured falls and falling rocks, confounding sense in awe, inspiring awe, have lifted up the circle of their steam, have lifted up their heavy, blackened limbs, have answered praise with prayer, and prayer with love. Forsake whatever fails you, and what falls, and fall into the chasm, and relent. The monkey bridge in Koshu spans the gap, ignores the steam which rises and which falls, and straight across the chasm like a knife, its purpose keen, unruffled and unbent, it cuts the falling air. His jewels and his furs, his perfect form, the curving sensuality and lust of lips whose token answers back their cause, and bending limbs that, pliant to the wind, have reinterred my corpse from where it came, and shovelled down the earth across my head. In darkness and deserted, all alone, the hollow tomb reiterates my cries, and no one comes to mock me or to scorn, and merely phantom eyes have burned the night. Reproach the spectre of my discontent, not me, who am unwilling to revert to lapsed states of consciousness abhorred. That thing adorns the gateway, flesh and flower, all bursting blossom and exploding height. But how can I be humble to its cause, when he himself is nothing but the world, the source and primal fountain whence he flowed? Draw me if you must, and witness love, the purpose of creation and the goal, and I myself will sink you in my arms and echo forth my grief upon the night, or turmoil all my joy into the light, ascending like a bird where morning breaks. Take either one and master me in mind, yet still you shall not question what I am, but only draw me down where I suspire. I welcome it, admit I welcome it, accept it, and will revel in its cause, despite my being downcast and depraved. To you, who are not merely flesh and blood, who only partly act the part of man, and for the rest distill the essence round of something so perfected and so pure, that merely men, when passing on the road, and gazed upon by eyes that do not see the merely human of their merely life, where life, divorced from love, is nothing more, are centred in the term of your regard, partaking of a little more than life. I humbled am, and willingly I go, who will not humble for the merely men, nor pay to them regard which they expect, but by your movement moved and flowing on, I leave behind me thoughts of prayer and praise, and worship you not falsely with my eyes, but with my eyes and everything I have, the total circumstantial of my state. The last bell sounds its anthem and departs. O weariness of ever-tolling limbs and echoless despair! When will it come? When will it come again? Unshattered wealth, and such stability as wealthless monks toiling on with paper and with pen, the midnight passing with the sound of far-off seas and breakers broken at a distant space, had won from darkness, and with rejoicing hailed the birth of Venus and the bells. What evening morning star, horizons clear, no mist ascending, no haze upon the hills, before the cattle rumble from their sleep, while still the hearth is silent and is cold, out gleams the wavering candle of the watch at this, the latter day and journey's end. Before the term is over and expired, while yet some light remains, though fuel is scarce, my mind, untired, feeds upon its store, forgetting that the night is not far off, oblivious of the motions of the world, at intervals distracted by the bells. What most of heaven there is lying still, what most I ever hoped to comprehend, and comprehending found it even more, and found it even more than I had hoped, who never hoped to find what there was found. Unworthy quite, but glorying in it still, I gaze, and never can return, and never turn my eyes from what I see. Forehead, eyes, and lips, a faultless face, though something not uncommon in the world, where all the streets are full of such as this. But that is not the part I homage up, not that which I have kissed and felt beneath, nor that which I have lain upon in lust, for any one can give what there is gained, yet no one else can give what there is found underneath the turmoil of our love. retreating down the corridor of night, the act fulfilled, behind us left and lapsed, I silent gaze and murmur at his cheek, and hardly hold his arms, and hardly touch, and shadowed patience waiting in the gloom. A second image slides between the sheets, which nothing says and never can be seen. It takes us in its arms, and night has gone. It builds the dome that, studded with the stars, and penetrant with voices, and the voice completes the rounded mastery of love, and brings us nearer, closer to the source, the very fountainhead of love itself, unfigured by the markings of the soil. Not passion, but expectation leads me on. Those singular emotions I have known, confronted by a face not wholly clear, and merging in the twilight of the trees, the semi-darkness or the semi-light, confusion of the hidden with the seen, the borderline unfixed and changing place, a sound of silks that rustle on the grass, the sudden circled moonlight on the floor, or someone passing distant on the street who furnishes a figure that we know, whom once we knew and never saw again. The past created images that grow, that blossom in conformity with mind, where first their seeded pods were nourished warm, to yield up fragrance through a future year, and answer back their planted image there, as if but recollected thought alone, remembrance guilty or gilded in the ray that lively smites the passage of the years, retaining all the warmth of what it was, could reconcile the future with the past, and flower round the hour that is here. Thus all my hinted phantoms, given rein, wandering and guessed at from afar, will lead my resolution to its root, and from the cause shape out a fair effect, which, followed to the meaning of its end, delivers up the sense which somewhat lapsed, interpreting the journey and the time, and leading all the circle to a round, will orbit out the clarity that, planned from first to last unconsciously, will reach its full fruition at the close. When first the light descended on your forehead, when first the music moved which you have heard, and each upon the others gazed entranced, for many were where one had previous been, what innocence was shattered and dissolved, what different voice upon the night displayed. When visions pass, and all the old remorse of longing and dissension echoes back, when worlds transfigured, untransfigured are, and what was once a god is now a man, regaining all the flesh he'd just heaved off, and looking in your eyes as men will look who nothing know of mysteries like these. How will you then adjust your fallen heart? How take upon you veils and modelled masks, and once again act out the weary scene of weary beds and weary rooms, of weary voices raised in discontent, and all the mundane movement of the street.